This is a clear example where we need to understand what the sentence is telling us. We cannot have any chance of getting the correct answer here unless we understand the structure of the sentence. And obviously we should go there first so we can kind of, get our entrance into the question. But when you're reading, you need to kind of think about the transitions that are happening within the sentence. So we don't get a lot from the beginning. The artisans of this place, this guild in Benin City, Nigeria, typically something, the bronze and brass casting techniques that have been passed down through their families since the 13th century. But, contrast, they don't strictly observe every tradition. So they don't strictly observe every tradition. We're clearly going to contrast with that. For example, guild members now use air conditioning motors instead of handheld bells to help heat their forges. So great. Try to anticipate what this is going to be using the contrast and the idea that we're contrasting with. So we're looking for the opposite of not strictly observing. So how about they strictly observe the bronze and brass casting techniques that have been passed down through their families since the 13th century. So they're following the techniques. That's what it's saying. There's a clear contrast here. Now, if we missed that, if we missed that word but, we might be tempted with choice A because it kind of matches with what comes later in a sense, right? Experimenting with these techniques is what they're doing. And that's when they say that they don't strictly observe every single thing. Now they're using air conditioning. So they are saying in the sentence later on that they are experimenting or changing these techniques in some way. But that part of the sentence is meant to be the opposite. So we have to understand that. C would be the same problem. B is the answer. Adhere means to stick to closely. Think of like glue. It adheres. We call it an adhesive because it sticks really tightly. So adhere to means to strictly observe, right? They're sticking to these techniques. They're not deviating from them. And then we contrast with that. But in that part of the sentence, that's what they want. Grapple with is weird. It kind of means to like, I don't know, like, grapple is kind of like hold on to, but like kind of like fumble or bobble. So like the way that they're using it here, grapple would be like kind of like they're struggling with the techniques, but it doesn't really make sense. It kind of even suggests this idea of experimentation, or maybe even that they're reluctant to use these techniques in some way. So it's kind of negative, and that's just not what we're going for here. In fact, I don't know that there necessarily is a connotation to this blank, but I do understand that it is an opposite of what we were given later on. So you have to notice when they do those kinds of shifts, because like choice A, they're going to give you the answer that you would get if you didn't notice the shift, if you wanted to continue an idea rather than show a contrast.